On July 27, 2018, at 20 hours and 20 minutes, the longest lunar eclipse of the 21st century will take place. And this is what it will look like: a blood red moon that lasts in the sky for 1 hour and 43 minutes. And it's a very important eclipse because it's also connected up with some planetary cycles, which is what this video is all about. The main planet in question is Mars, and Mars, around the time of the eclipse, comes the closest to the Earth that it's been in 60,000 years. In fact, it was 2003 and also this particular eclipse coming up where Mars has made these closest approaches for 60,000 years. So this eclipse is rather special, and the Mars approach even more special. Now, Mars is actually going through a retrograde phase at the moment in the sign of Aquarius, which is the sign of universal brotherhood. But Mars, of course, is the planet of war. If we look at the where it is and take the constellations into account, then here we have Capricorn, the sea goat here. We see the moon just outside the boundary of Capricorn. It's in Aquarius, and we see Mars down here. But this has been expanded quite a bit. If we look at just the horoscope of this eclipse, then we can see how close the moon and Mars are. They're within a degree. So, as with any lunar eclipse, the moon's exactly opposite the sun. In this case, they both square the planet of Uranus, which can bring in sudden and unexpected events as well. So we're likely to see things a lot more topsy-turvy and unpredictable around this eclipse time. Now, Mars, and also I want to introduce Mercury here as well. Mercury, the planet of communication and messages. Both of these planets have a 79-year recurrence cycle, meaning they go through the same signs, they turn retrograde at roughly the same dates at this 79-year period. They repeat. So we're looking at 2018 on a graph here. We've got Mercury on top, doing the loop here in July and going retro, and then forward again in August. And we've got Mars underneath here, which is not moving quite as much, spending a lot more time in Aquarius, but will be retrograde, of course, already is at the time of the eclipse. Now, this is 1939, so the screen actually changed then from 2018 to 1939. You can see that cycles of Mercury and Mars are practically the same. In fact, these are the days that they go retrograde and direct of the respective years 1939 and 2018. But I want to start by looking at this retrograde period around July 27, 1939, because it can be that history can repeat a little bit. And around that time, Mahatma Gandhi, who was the main peace activist in the world, was writing to Adolf Hitler, who was the main war activist in the world, to lay down your guns. He is actually saying in this letter of desperation that it's quite clear that you are today the one person in the world who can prevent a war which may reduce humanity to the savage state. Now, Mercury, remember, turned retro on July 27 of 1939. The letter never made it to Hitler. It was intercepted by British intelligence MI5. In fact, Gandhi wrote 2 letters, neither of them made it. British intelligence got both of them. Not that it would have made a great deal of difference, because Hitler was pretty well on the warpath by then anyway. So now we're going to look at a period from 1939 where both Mars and Mercury went direct. So Mercury went direct on the 20th of August and Mars on the 24th. So what actually happened during that time? It's quite important because we may see some similar events taking place in 2018. And there it is. The Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact was signed on August 23rd, 1939. And that was really the red flag for both Russia and Germany, because it was a non-aggression pact, to keep out of each other's way if either of them took aggressive stances against European countries. So, and it was the key to Russia also going in and starting the Winter War in the latter stages of 1939. What it really meant that was that Russia could invade Latvia and Estonia and Finland without Germany worrying about that, and Russia wouldn't worry then about Germany invading Poland and Danzig and Lithuania. So by September the 1st, 1939, at 4:45 in the morning, the war had started and Germany invaded Danzig. Now, coming back to the eclipse of July 27, 2018, I've highlighted the main parts here where we can see the Moon and Mars together in Aquarius, opposite the Sun and squaring Uranus. Now, why I've done that is because during the Second World War, the US 7th Fleet was formed in the Battle of the Pacific. It was formed in Brisbane, Australia. It was an amalgamation of the US Navy and the Australian Navy fighting the Japanese Empire. Now we can see that Mars is in pretty much the same position as it will be at eclipse time. And it's opposing Pluto down here, where the Sun will be at eclipse time, Pluto in Leo. And both Mars and Pluto are angled to Uranus. In this case, Mars is actually trining Uranus, but it's still making an astrological angle to Uranus. So if we superimpose the eclipse over the formation of the US 7th Fleet, we get this. So I've got the US 7th Fleet on the inner circle here. This is a circle running around here. And I've got the eclipse around the outside. So we can see that it's actually activating the chart of the United States 7th Fleet. And this is particularly important because of the Pacific pivot now, as the US seeks to contain the expansion of China. Okay, now also one of the most important battles of World War II in the Pacific took place when Mars re-entered Aquarius a couple of years after the formation of the 7th Fleet, and this was the Battle of Iwo Jima, and that was an island that was taken by the Americans, but at the loss of quite a number of thousand of US Marines and also many thousand Japanese. So what we're getting here is these degrees of this eclipse are certainly stirring up some of the degrees of World War II. And we look around at some of the leading politicians in the world today, and we might not say that Putin is, another Stalin, but he has ruled Russia for longer than anyone else except for Joseph Stalin. We see Trump, the American president, but very much a militaristic president, pouring money into the military and also his nuclear program. We see North Korea developing their nuclear program, and other leaders like Erdogan, Recep Erdogan in Turkey, wanting to usurp power for long periods of time. We could throw other people in like Ben Netanyahu and that as well. And we've got quite a lot of volatile politicians right at the moment who are bringing the world to the brink of some sort of clash. So this eclipse could be more important than we think. Of course, it doesn't have to happen. We learn from history. Ultimately, hopefully, we learn from history. But it's interesting that these same volatile figures are coming up at this particular time in history. And it's a repeat of those planetary cycles. If you want more information on this and weekly updates and political astrology and how planets and recurrence cycle of planets tend to produce similar events, www.edtamplin.com, and thanks for watching this vid.